Hello, Dominic.
Hello, Dr. Lotto. How are you?
Dr. Lotto. Heavens no. Beau. It's nice to meet you. So, I hope you don't mind. We're recording this. Well, I hope. Well, you can't mind because that was the whole intention.
Yeah. All good. Yeah.
Oh,
Very well.
really good. So I see you've got a guitar in the background.
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Is that the one you're using for the piece that you sent in?
No, this is just my grandfather's guitar. It's from the 70s, just something I like to play around with. But no, the one I used for summer is right over there, right over
Uh,
in my.
Wonderful. So you and I have never met, right?
Correct.
Um, and but we've met through your creation,
Yes,
and it
we
was
have.
so lovely experiencing that, listening to that. And as you know, we enjoyed it so much that we wanted to have a conversation with you, to learn about you, but also your creation and how it relates to perception. So since I have some insight into you from what you sent in, but maybe you could actually just tell us, who are you? So who's Dominic, right?
Yeah. Dominic is a 21-year-old male from Delaware. I have a passion for physical therapy, helping people, and then my second passion, which is, well, my main passion is music, but my secondary passion is helping people, just trying to have everybody have a successful and healthy life, to really just have wellness. I don't know how to explain it more than that. Yeah.
And when did I mean? I mean, why do you care? Why do you care
Well,
about that?
for me, I know I like to be happy, and life here is so unpredictable. We don't know what's going to happen. So I just want everybody to have the best opportunity to experience it in a healthy and happy way. Yeah.
And what for you is? I mean, that's a wonderful. I mean, actually, I'm already interrupting myself. As, so, you, what I was going to ask you, what does it mean to be healthy and happy from your perspective,
Just doing
and
things.
maybe even for your own life,
Yeah.
right?
For my life particularly, I have a high interest in just physical activity, socialization, which sadly right now isn't I can't do as often as I would like.
Mm.
But at music and just being around people I like with similar interests. So
Ah,
I do, yeah.
what about people that don't have similar interests?
I like to I working towards accepting everybody with an open mind and being judgment free, because we're all human, so sometimes the judgment takes precedence over what I really want to feel. But I just try to accept everybody as they are and really try and learn from them and see if I can
Mm.
connect with them in a different way.
Mm. Uh, and do you find, I mean, when you are engaging with someone who maybe has a different view from you, um, and I love the fact that you're thinking about this at 21, by the way. I don't find that that's necessarily as common as maybe it could be, right? And not just at 21, but maybe in all ages, about finding potential value in someone who's different from us. And and I'm wondering, when that happens to you at 21, um, what's the feeling that you get when you're now engaging with someone who's maybe has a different view?
Sometimes sometimes it can be difficult because not everybody handles situations the same. Some people like to treat differences and initiate an argument that seems like it'll have no real solution. But it's nice to talk to people with different views and to uh, be able to agree to disagree, but still learn and understand why someone thinks the way they do is really helpful.
Mm.
Be to Even if I don't agree with someone, I like to be able to see why they think the way they do.
Right. Now I'm imagining that you're answering this or thinking outside the context of music. What happens when when that happens to you within the context of music? Let's
Um,
say, I mean, first of all, what's your primary instrument?
Guitar.
Guitar. Okay. So let's imagine you're engaging with someone who is also a guitarist, but maybe has very different views about guitar. Um, I'm not sure exactly what that means, but let's just say for sake of argument. How do you feel when that happens?
Um, I haven't had the I haven't really met up with too many guitar players and talked about how we view guitar, but in terms of genres of music
Mm.
and different ways you can play, I growing up I really listened to classic rock, stuff like that, Black Sabbath, Judas Priest,
Really?
all of those.
Yeah.
But over time, as I've gotten older and I've really developed into my own self, I've really accepted all kinds of different kinds of music, like trap music, which is some more based on some more derogative stuff. Pop music, found a way to, mm, I've really found a way to enjoy everything. I look for the different talents in each because they're all art, whether you like that kind of music or not. Somebody is really good at it, and people appreciate that kind of music for a certain reason. So I like looking into those different types of genres and
Mm.
people to see the way why they like that music.
Yeah. Well, what's I find really interesting and fascinating about that is that when people are in that kind of context, an art context, or someone who I know as a dancer, uh, when they engage with someone in that sphere, in your case, in case of music, that when they engage with someone who's different, has a different view, they welcome that different view, right? It's like, oh, that's really interesting. Maybe that's different from the way I thought before, or I've never thought of that before,
Hmm.
right? Is that something that you experience?
For sure,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then maybe you incorporate, you try to find the principles of that, you incorporate it into your music. But isn't it interesting that you're actually in that moment in conflict, and yet
Yeah,
you love the conflict,
yes.
right? So what do you think is different between when we engage in a conflict in that sense versus when we engage in a conflict in other sense, where we say, no, no, I don't want to engage in this, where we get defensive, etc. And yet in both cases, what we thought to be true before is being challenged. And yet in one case we love it, and the other case we rebel against it or get intolerant or judgmental, right? Um, and what do you think is the difference between those? Maybe there isn't one. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, for instance, like politics, I like to not shelter myself, but I like to look at the big picture before I go in. Like, what can I get out of this conversation? So if I know somebody or I don't know someone, but I do research on them about what they've posted and stuff like that on social media, it's so crucial in these times.
Mm-hmm.
But I just like to really, with politics, I don't like to talk about it because, okay, hold on. I'm stumbling over my words. I go into politics with a different view just because of the way that it's portrayed in our media. It seems like it creates a lot of division, and like that's how it's created, what it's created to do. So I really like to get to know a person before I dive into politics with them. I don't like
Yeah.
talking to strangers about it because I don't know
Yeah.
how they're going to react.
But it feels to me that maybe the way you're engaging with it is not unlike the way you engage with someone who has a different view about music, for instance, that you're looking to expand. Because it seems to me, what if we engage in all conflict in the way that you personally engage in conflict with, say, conflict over music, where you're actually looking to expand, where you're looking to learn something, as opposed to, no, this is how I'm always going to play the guitar. This is the only music I'm ever going to play, and I'll never play anything different, right? What would happen if we actually, for you engaged in your life like every engagement was music?
For sure, like I said earlier, I do try to talk to
Mm.
people and get to know them. So with politics, I think just anything, we should absolutely go into more conversations, open-minded, looking to learn instead of debate or fight and defend ourselves, because we can have our own ideas, but at the end of the day, if we're not, we need to grow and we need to experience other people's thoughts and give them consideration before we can
Mm.
really be the best well-rounded.
And do you find that's with the people that you know? I presume you're most of the people you know are around your age.
Mhm.
Do you find that that's also how they're doing it, or do you see that you're a little bit different from that?
Um, well, we've all grown up. Before, I would say a few years ago, I would answer this differently and say that we all kind of defend ourselves. We're a little overprotective of our own ideas and values. But as over the last few years, I've really seen a lot of growth in me and my friend group, because
Mm.
we're able to talk about things that we necessarily might not agree on, but we still talk about it. And at the end of the day, we're still going to be friends, and we've learned and understand why we think the way we do. So.
Mm. That's wonderful. So tell me, people are going to be able to hear what you've created. So tell us a bit about your creation.
Summer, it was last spring. I was in a songwriting class at the University of Delaware, and it was just a small group. And our goal every week was to try and write something new every week. And so I was just playing around with certain chords, and I'm a big fan of major sevenths. I can't really explain it. I don't know much about music theory, but I'm a big fan of the sound. I think it's relaxing, easygoing, and can put you in a, for me, it stimulates a happy feeling. I feel very relaxed and at ease when I hear them. So I really wanted to write a song with those, and I came up with the little the little hoppy beat. And so I really wanted to write a positive vibe. And I know a lot of people enjoy the season of summer. It helps them think about the beach, just being with friends, socializing, having a good time. And so I really just tried to use summer as a metaphor, kind of. Not specifically, it sounds like a love song, but really it's just about summer. Just like, I love it. Like, I wish I could go back. Like, just reminiscing on that summer that I had.
So is it a specific summer or the concept of summer?
Just the concept of summer.
And what's the metaphor of summer for you?
Just being able to, just using summer as a happy concept. Like, I don't know how to describe it more than it's like, thinking of summer immediately puts me at ease, because I know, like, school will be over. I get to socialize with my friends more. The weather is warmer. I get more tan. I personally like being more tan. So yeah, I don't have many negative associations with summer as I do winter months.
Wonderful. And where is summer spent for you?
Just mainly at home, just around the same place I am now, but just something about the change of the weather, and people are in happier spirits. So.
And the approach to life changes, doesn't it? I mean, it's interesting to think whether we could generalize these ways of being, the summer way of being, the approaching conflict with music. If we could take these because clearly we can engage in the world in this way, right? And we're often facilitated by a certain context. But again, what would happen if we could actually take those ways of being and extend them beyond that context? Maybe they're just contextual, though. I don't know. I think it's interesting about the major seventh. So you might be familiar, might be aware of where the scales come from. The musical scales come from. They come from our voice. So they're effectively extensions of our voice. So our voice has more or less one octave. And for those who are specially trained, maybe an octave and a half, maybe even two, right? But there's one octave there. Well, music, and take the piano, has 8 octaves, right? It's basically taken that octave that our throat has, our language have, and expanded it, right? Now, when we think about the major chords versus the minor chords, or the major scales versus the minor scales, why does it sound, you said that you love it because it gives that sense of peace, you feel happy, etc. The interesting question is, why do you feel that way? Well, what's fascinating is that the tonal scale of a major chord is not unlike what happens in your voice when you're happy. We actually create a major scale in our voices that the frequency relationship in happiness is like a major, right?
Wow.
And when it's a minor chord, it's actually not unlike our voice when we're feeling uncomfortable or uncertain and unsure. And when you play a minor chord, imagine playing a piece of music and you finish it on a minor chord. People are like, oh, they feel the sort of the angst of the fact that you finished on a minor chord. But when you finish on a major chord, you get that sense of, it's closure, right?
I was watching one of your TED Talks. I think it was about awe when you had them listening to the music and then like it was building, and then you cut it off.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I was like, I had a feeling where it was going. I was like, he's gonna cut it off, and they're just like, that's fantastic. Great way to explain that.
Well, that's the beauty of closure, right? That we're, but of course, in your music, I'd imagine that you're taking people on a journey, right? So a single note doesn't sit by itself. And as you were saying, that they sit within a context. The concept could be a major seventh, but now that note within the context of a major seventh creates a completely different feeling than the exact same note within a minor, right? Completely changes the whole meaning of the piece of music. So what when you're constructing your music, do you think about the fact that you're taking people on a journey that's effectively a narrative? It's a sonic narrative.
Yes, for sure. A lot of the music I listen to, like I said, over time I've developed listening to more genres and I appreciate more of them. I like to listen to a lot of like EDM music, electronic music, because I really enjoy the different sonic sounds that they use within their recording softwares that make you feel like you could be in space, or you just think about these like vortexes of music and just the different places they can take you. I write music, I surely do think about, like, after I write the bass of the song, like when I get to recording it, how I can make this a little bit better and help people like feel like they're going on a ride. So,
And given your interest on other people, and which is a very generous motivation of creating that sense of happiness or contentment with other people through music, I presume you play in front of people, you play live.
Yeah.
How is that for you?
It's fantastic. Before the show, you'll be really nervous, but the second you get up there and start playing, it's like everything just washes away. It's really a unique feeling.
And why is that for you?
It's just nice a lot of the people, well, when you're playing live, there's at least one or two people in the audience that are there for the live music that night. And it's just a great feeling. Since I appreciate listening to music, it's nice being able to be the person playing for someone listening.
Yeah.
Being the reason that someone is coming out to go to this restaurant or to this gig. Again, making someone else happy by playing music. So.
Yes. There's something that reminds me of that you're saying when we like to create spaces that have music. And I've worked with a lot of people who are musicians and both in the playing of the music, but also creating the environment in which music's played. What I find remarkable about music, and I think one of the reasons why people love music and musicians who can create this feeling, is that when you're in the context of music, it's not that differences between people, I'm thinking about a live gig now. I don't think it's that the differences between people is lost. I think the differences between people are maintained. It's just that it doesn't matter, right? So it's a way of actually bringing difference together and coexisting, and right? And now they can find a connection through those differences, as you're describing with your friends, etc., or with another musician, where you find the connections between people, but now you've created a context in which they actually have that connection because it's the music. And now it's a wonderfully complex space. But that, again, it's not that everyone goes to the same, all those differences are lost. What I love about it is the differences are maintained.
Yeah.
Right? It remains diverse, but now you've integrated across that diversity through the music because people are now open. So in thinking about the awe talk that I gave with Cirque and at TED, that's one of the things that you're able to do, that your music is literally opening their minds. I mean that in a literal sense, in the sense they're opening up the possibility of connections and forming new connections. Because when listening to your music, they can now, and in music in general, they can now increase the possibility that they will expand their perception by bringing in differences that exist in that live gig. So you're creating the context for that, which is remarkable, right? It's a beautiful thing.
It is a great feeling. Like you go to when we could go to concerts, just a lot of the ones that I've been to, they are like, they take a moment during the show and they're like, look to your right, look to your left. Like, you don't know this person, but right now, like you're here for the same reason and you're enjoying the same thing. So it was to build off of what you were talking about. Like the differences are still maintained, but at that moment, we're all there for the same thing, enjoying the same art. It's fantastic.
Yeah. And I find it remarkably generous that you're training, becoming trained and are trained to create that space for people. And how important that is, and precious that is, and the responsibility of doing so, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I really enjoyed speaking with you.
Thank you very much. I enjoyed talking to you. It was a learning experience for me. Great. Thank
you so much again also for taking the time to submit the piece of music. We really enjoyed it. Keep us posted on the other things that you create. And keep creating that space for others to find the connections with maybe difference.
Thank you very much. I sure will.
Brilliant. All right. Ciao. Nice to see you. Okay.
Why don't you get next to me? No, we don't have to talk. We can just stay silently. Yeah, my sleep has been messed up, but you're no inconvenience. You hit me like a drug. The way you got me feeling is all I need. Summer's when I met you, and I do nothing different, but maybe give our song 1 or 2 more listens, 'cause you give me that feeling I can't get enough. You take me to the and any little touch, it turns out I can fly. And no, I know you've never seen